it's pretty even. I guess it comes down to who's driving.
And track specific as well. I think those two are the second and third both team. They're on par in my opinion. It's just whatever characteristics the track suits best for them.
Funded practically a good chunk of this. Diaby leaving for 55 million essentially brought
another Premier League club.
The Premier League essentially funded Bayer Leverkusen's run to the top, because with just Diaby being sold, you got Boniface, you got Tella, and then you have some residue that you're able to get Xhaka with. Welcome, everybody. This is a little bit of a wild Wednesday. We've got a coaching carousel where you have a bunch of coaches moving places in Serie A. You've got a new president at Inter, and you have a very, very highly interesting couple of swap deals, and you have some movement that's going on as well. And here to break it down with me is Mr. German Dave. How are you?
Hello, everybody, on this beautiful Wednesday evening where absolutely nothing is happening in the world of football.
Oh man. All right. So let's get into the first order of business. The coaching carousel that we've seen so far is with Italiano moving on to Bologna, and then Paulo Fonseca moving on to Fiorentina, and then not Fonseca.
Fonseca to Milan, Palladino to Fiorentina, and Italiano to Bologna, and Motta most likely to Juventus,
barring him forgetting to sign on the dotted line. So we're right. I think we're right for two. I think it's something we've in Misak as well has been saying for a while, right? With Italiano going to Bologna. I don't think Palladino was. Did we forecast him going to Fiorentina? I don't think we did.
I don't know if we forecasted it, like actually verbally. Could be, could not be, but yeah, the fit is there. Like I can see it, and if we said it, I believe 100% that we were right back then already. But
yeah, no, absolutely. And what I thought was interesting, because in the Discord, Misak throws in a comment, and he's like, Italiano goes to every team essentially after Motta with Spezia and Bologna, and he's like, there could be a shot. So there is a chance for you, German Dave, that Italiano,
my boy's still in the run.
He could go to Juve in 2 years. Still, though, I think that's great upgrades for everyone, just kind of like what Sal is saying. Like, for example, it's a great upgrade for Italiano. He can try with the Champions League and with a way better constructed team. If it remains the way that it does, it will be a solid team. If it does not remain the way that it does, then we'll see what he can truly do it. But again, he went to the final of the Conference League with Andrea Bellotti. Unfortunately, he choked it, which is starting to see him climb up the ranks as a potential Juventus coach for choking in European finals. But no, did that sting? Was that too soon of a joke? But we'll move on from that. But Palladino moving on to Fiorentina, which it'll be interesting to see what he does there. As far as it is an upgrade from Monza, can you argue and say minuscule, not anything too large? Him moving to Fiorentina from Monza?
No, it's still a bigger club. Like I no, Fiorentina's still the bigger club. I think it's still a bigger possibility. Still, like financially, they have a lot more to work with, and I like not only for him but for all the coaching candidates that changed jobs basically. They all climbed the ladder somewhat, with Motta doing the biggest jump, of course, like in terms of how big the club is, and the other ones, like I like how they're gradually like moving up the ladder, and no crazy movements, like for example getting Palladino to Juventus.
Do you want to think, or do you believe this movement happened a lot shorter than we expected it to? Was Igor Tudor leaving?
Oh, it happened way sooner, and that was the biggest shocker today. It came absolutely out of nowhere, man.
I'm pissed. I said Christmas.
Yeah, I don't remember what I said, man. No, we have to go back to the archives for that.
Which is interesting, right? Because he essentially told Tito, "I'm out of here. I'm done." And I remember when he first came in and like he beat us, right? And everyone's like, "Look at how he's such a great coach, and his team has bought into his philosophy and X, Y, and Z." And then he's gone. Like he's done.
Yeah. Hey, I told you, man, him and Lazio is not a fit with their squad, with the age in their squad, with the squad not being like great at pressing, but him wanting a high press, and his squad being too low to work with the press that he wants. Like from the start, like it didn't work. Yeah, he had the the new coach effect where they win 2 games or whatever, and yeah, then we beat them in the Coppa Italia, and the magic fizzled out.
Yeah, well, and I always found it more so on the lines of like it would have made sense if Tudor went to Roma instead of Lazio,
Absolutely.
because the foundational pieces were at Roma.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, them bringing in De Rossi instead of Tudor, like, I still don't expect De Rossi to have a long shelf life there. So our bet's still on for that
Oh,
one.
but he got a contract renewal, I believe, until 2027, or what was
Or
26 or
I thought they
26
extended for
or
a year.
27?
Yeah, I thought they extended for a year originally, but with that, and then like for example, the other hot button union is going to be Conte with ADL, right?
Yep.
I'm so curious with what squad they're going to do that
that
with.
will be fireworks, and I'm all here for it, man. I'm all here for it.
I'm curious to see how that plays.
It will be cinema.
It will be, and I'm very curious. Like, I don't know how they're going to build that roster, how that roster is going to get organized. That to me is going to be something that I'm very curious to see how that gets done. With a lot of these rotations, Max, obviously, I think we haven't covered it because we weren't live. Max with a mutual parting with Juve, I believe it was 4.5 million. They'll never release the figure. Hopefully, they don't pay him under the table, so we don't get a minus 25 points.
I hope so.
But there is a part. So I'm assuming with a mutual termination, I'm assuming that Max has another job lined up, which the rumors have been swirling. It was Milan, now potentially Lazio. So both Lazio and Milan have contacted Max. I think we said that if he goes to Milan, I think he would have an instant effect if he goes there. Makes them
but Milan has already Paulo Fonseca.
Yeah,
nearly done. I don't even know where that rumor came from. Like since 2 weeks, like every journalist is saying Fonseca nearly done. He's about to, to quit at. Oh man, I'm confusing the club again. Lille. Was it Lille?
Yep, it is
Lille. And I don't know where all of a sudden the Max stuff, like it came completely out of left field for me.
It did. Well, and the other thing too right now, because like for example, the De Gregorio business, Liverpool tried coming in and offered him a higher wage, and he said no to stay. So, I mean, right now at this point, I wouldn't expect anything crazy to pop in out of nowhere to catch everything off guard.
But he's an Inter goalkeeper. How does he say yes to Juventus instead of Liverpool?
Because when you're a professional athlete, none of that matters anymore, unfortunately, in this new age. So you can take your tears and go touch grass. So the other thing that's breaking right now is Kyle George with his deal to Cruzelio is roughly about 7 million plus a percentage of a future sale. So Kyle George is, instead of lost, he is officially gone.
Yep. And by the way, the numbers are, man, all over the place again. Yesterday there was talks of about 4 million or something like that,
Now
and
it's 7.
today Di Marzio said 7, but Juventus wants 10. And dude, I'm confused with all these numbers. I guess like everything like will be plus Valenza right now, because how long is he on the books already?
He's been on the books since 2021, I think.
So for 3 full seasons, and we paid 2 or 2.5 million. So it's nearly amortized as well. So everything that you will get is a profit, basically.
I think the decent season at Frosinone has helped him as far as the value, but I think that's more so what helped him there. But oh man,
bless you.
Excuse me. Whew, I sneezed midstream. That's weird. So with KB San Palladino to Fiorentina, let's make predictions on who gets sacked first. I'm going to say whoever becomes the Lazio coach will end up getting sacked first. I don't see Italiano getting sacked.
But what about Conte?
Conte will walk away before he takes a sack to the face.
Just sacking, so walking away doesn't count?
No, would walking away count as a sack? I don't think so.
It counts as a split. Let's phrase it if you want.
As a split, we can do that.
Let's phrase it as a split.
Yeah, I think as a split, I think the money's on
Saturday call-in show. We will have a list, and we put and we call in all the guys, and then we put the predictions into the Discord as well, man. Yeah, no, everything will be up for predictions.
Yeah, I think we could. That would be but I know this Saturday you're preoccupied, so I don't think we're able to do it, right? I think.
You're right.
Yeah, shit. So we'll save that for another.
You remember better than me.
I know. I'm good at stuff like this. I think Conte for me is probably going to be the first coach that walks away. If De Zerbi goes to Lazio, and then my money is on De Zerbi.
Oh my god! That would be even bigger fireworks than Conte at Napoli, man.
Yeah.
But what a downgrade from Brighton to Lazio. Everybody will say, "Oh yeah, Lazio is historically
garbage."
But from the Premier League money and from a mid-table club to a mid-table club in Italy. Sorry, Lazio fans.
I don't know that. Yeah, that move wouldn't make sense to me. Do you want to talk about Italy and Turkey?
What?
What?
No, honestly, I didn't watch, but
you didn't miss much. Our boy,
watch the game. I watched Germany versus Ukraine, which
was a better game in my opinion.
A little bit better. Man, Germany got to work on their chance conversion, man. Otherwise, it will end up like versus Real Madrid in the
At least you guys made chances.
We're great at creating, and also have become very good at defending all of a sudden.
Dude, Italy.
And dude, how is Rudiger the best rated defender in world football right now? Who made that list?
We're bouncing all over the place.
Dude, that just came to mind. Who made that damn list? Dude,
we'll go over that list later.
I'm German, and I can't put number one.
But you want to know? Just spoiler alert: Bremer doesn't even make it, so he's not even an honorable mention.
That's
that
crazy.
List.
That's crazy.
But I kind of want to, because we did have European friendlies, but I called them the fine tuning matches for qualifying. I don't know, to be honest with you. I watched that, and Chiesa to me was dog shit.
He was the worst rated player, I believe, together with Orsolini, like according to FOTMOB.
Like he was
I looked into that at least.
0 shots on target, And again, I thought, he was shackled by Max and blah 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 blah, and he was terrible.
Yep.
Absolutely terrible. Like, if he's trying to, if maybe it's just this game's a throwaway game and they're just like, fuck it, we're not trying. We're just trying not to get hurt and yada yada yada. But he looked atrocious. Like, that to me was concerning how bad he was.
Honestly, I hope so much that we will find a deal before the Euros, because his value will plummet even more than it already has. Like, we already won't get much money from. I texted you all in Discord. I wrote it in the general chat there. His value right now, like, clubs are putting offers on the table of around like 25 million. He's not much more worth
He's a
than that.
depth
Like,
beast right now. Because,
yeah,
like, for example, okay, people are like, he's a world-class talent. He doesn't start for Real. He doesn't start for Man City. Maybe for Bayern.
and sorry, but you won't get the tag world-class talent with age 26 anymore. World-class talent, I consider that until 21, 22, maybe even 23. After that, you're in your prime.
He should be.
I don't consider you a talent anymore. Like, he's not a boy.
Like,
He behaves like one, he plays like one, but he's not a boy age-wise. So I expect like way more from him. Like, he has become like decent, at least in the last couple of games. I appreciate that, but man, he has to grow the F up.
And this is where I find this a little bit corny per se with this Turkey team. This Turkey team is coming off a 6-1 loss to Austria.
Yep.
And this Italian team only made 2 shots on target.
Yep.
In the first half, they had 0.
Yep.
And they had possession.
Yep.
So either, to me, which I knew this was a case, as Spalletti was a one-hit wonder and not this amazing tactician that people thought of, and that the Italian national team should have got Conte. But no, the hipsters whined and cried about getting him. They're like, if Napoli knew how to do justice for Italy, they will let Spalletti out of his contract so he can go coach the national team. Dude, this national team looks terrible.
Oh yeah.
Despite the injuries, they look terrible. They might as well should send their under 17s or 19s. They'll look better than them.
And can we also talk about how mid that front line is? Like, Chiesa is not what Chiesa should be. Not what everybody sees the second coming of Jesus in him, which he looks far from that. I personally appreciate the stats that Orsolini has, because he had stats-wise a better season than Chiesa had. Like, we ironically detailed already. And Retegui, while being pretty okay, but Retegui is not a world-class striker right now. Like,
No, he's not.
Sorry, but that is a mid front line. Like, how are you supposed to?
I think the only difference is probably we'd have to evaluate when Scamacca gets on there and see if it changes anything. But, like, for example, your midfield is going to be
That's their only chance, man.
that's the only shot they have.
If you don't have Scamacca, like, how will he get the wingers into play?
Because, like, for example, their midfield is going to be Jorginho, Pellegrini, and Barella. Cristante started this game, but I don't. It's
the
going to be Barella.
midfield is the least of my problems. Honestly, the midfield is the least of my problems with Italy. The problem is I think their defense is suspect.
Very suspect. Bastoni and Mancini look terrible together.
Yeah, and now with Scalvino also out, calling Gatti up, we will see if he sees like some playing time. If he's a rotational piece, I'm also think a rotational piece, of course, and just the front line is mid, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what I find ironic was, like, people are trying to draw parallels to the previous Euro to this one, where Italy didn't do good in the warm-up matches either. That Italy team had equity. That Italy team was undefeated going into that Euro. Like, they did not drop a game. They were playing aggressive. They were playing high-tempo ball. And ironically, offensively on that team, whether you folks want to believe it or not, Chiesa was the 4th best attacking option on that team.
Yep.
One was Ciro Immobile. Again, say what you want about his performance in the Nazionale, but that guy was at least 30 plus goal contributions this season at that point. Guy was competing with Ronaldo. And then you have Lorenzo Insigne, who had literally the season of his career at Napoli that year.
Yeah.
And then same thing with Domenico Berardi, who had one of two very, very solid years at Sassuolo there. And then Chiesa was the fourth option.
And also with Berardi, even if he was fit, I don't think this is a good front line. Even with Berardi, I don't think this would be great.
And Chiesa started that Euro off the bench with those three. And it's like, for example, numbers wise, you could argue that it makes sense that he was the fourth option because all three of those guys had really good seasons in Serie A.
Yep.
And then that season was Chiesa's best season with us at Serie A too. So it's like that was one of those things where now when you look at this front line, especially the front line that we saw against Turkey, Chiesa's supposed to be the best guy there. That's not good.
No.
He essentially has shown that, like, when he is the solo man or the main man, he can't handle it.
No.
Unfortunately, he's not world class. And if we're waiting on Scamacca to bail Chiesa out performance wise, that's not a good sign either.
Oh no, it's not.
So
and even if it's good for Italy, it's not good for Juventus because we don't have Scamacca and we don't have a striker that, like, Vlahovic, although got better with his passing and how he tries to involve the other players, he's not at Scamacca's level, like, regarding that area. And if we don't have a type like Scamacca that can do that, or Zirkzee, that will likely go to Milan according to the reports the last couple of days.
Yep.
That means we have Vlahovic. And sorry, but, like, how is Chiesa supposed to work on a front line with a striker that can't involve him? Like, you need the wingers to involve the striker in this case, and sorry, but Chiesa also doesn't do that.
Yeah, and like, for example, when you watch this, you're like 100% sure Thiago Motta's watching this.
Oh yeah,
and it's reaffirming, his opinion. And, like, for example, folks can sit there and listen to Romeo and other people sit and say comforting words, man. The fact of the matter is that shit came out. Whether you want to believe DiMarzio or not, it's out there. When there's smoke, there's fire. Because this is where I find it ironic. Because when these guys were bringing out reports of Max not being there or Max leaving, everybody's clapping and running for the hills and doing jumping jacks and yada, yada, yada. And now when it goes in the opposite direction.
Yeah, but when it doesn't
I don't believe anybody besides Romeo. I don't believe anyone besides Romeo. Why do you think Romeo hasn't said? Romeo doesn't know anything.
These people and this fan base doesn't believe in anything that that doesn't boat their float, basically.
And it's exactly so. It's just like and even back then we said we didn't give anything credence until we knew the full picture for sure. But we're always going to keep it with one eye open. Do we believe that he's going to get sold? It's looking more than likely. Are we going to completely?
It's likely, but it's not definite. Like,
exactly.
We have to take both sides. Like, yes, they said, or a couple of reports said, yeah, the Motta doesn't want him, and some said, yeah, he's essential in Motta's system. So we had both sides, and we are preaching here both sides. If they sell him, you have to get the money from somewhere. He has a year left, and he doesn't fit the system 100%, so it makes sense.
Yeah, and we've always said this: the moment that the new coach comes in, Dusan, Bremer, or Chiesa will get sold. It's one of the three.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I guess people just weren't expecting to see that. And
we have to sell the whole youth academy. That would be the other option.
For me, and this is where I think I might give a little bit more equity to Gentoli, right? Is because I said it when he fired Max. You need to have a big summer, and you need to come with this consistently.
Yep.
And the fact that he's handling the Chiesa situation the same way that he's handling the Allegri situation, I got to give him credit for that because it's a similar way of doing business. It's consistent.
He's consistent, yeah.
Because, like, for example, you weren't willing to offer McKennie a raise, and for the season that McKennie did, he told Chiesa, "I'm not giving you a raise."
Yep.
If you want to take a pay cut, you can, but I'm not giving you a raise. And that's what
No.
kind of spurred this whole rumor mill is more so just Chiesa trying to negotiate a higher salary. And then again, if this is true, right? Like if Giunzoli says, I'm not fuck am I giving you a raise for? What did you do? You whined
Scored
and you whined and
9 goals and 2 assists.
yeah, you whined and wasted everybody's time. So the question is like you said, do we get a deal done before Italy crashes out of the group stages?
Yeah, and that's what we have to do. That's with every performance that he's out there, his value is plummeting. Dude, he's no-showing. He no-showed with us, or he was below average with us. And now on the international stage, the problem is we did, or lucky for us, we didn't have international football or whatever, because he would have been on the biggest stage in the Champions League if we didn't get the points deduction. If he would be worth 15 million right now instead of 25. And now with every game he plays with Italy right now, like his value is dropping.
And like for example, folks can sit here and be like, we're taking this qualifier, not this qualifier, this friendly way too serious. Guys, man, there is
Dude,
no way in hell this Italy team should have not created chances at home against this leaky Turkey defense.
If we don't take these games serious, what do we take serious? These are the games where you fine-tune your team, where you find your starting 11s for a goddamn knockout tournament, the biggest one in European international football.
For me, it seemed like Albania took their game more seriously. They took Liechtenstein. They even play at home. They've been playing their games in Hungary to get used to playing in a neutral stadium.
Yeah.
So they went to Hungary and they dropped 3 on them.
Yeah.
They started and they went all the way 90 minutes trying to score a goal. And yeah, it's Liechtenstein, right? I understand Liechtenstein is terrible, but you have to beat who's in front of you.
Yeah, you have to beat the one that is in front of you. And even if you don't beat the opponent, you have to show something, like some tactical skills, some, I don't know, some squad cohesion, some squad chemistry. Like
Isn't there?
You need to see something. Like I'm not expecting 5 goals. You don't even need to win the game, like in my opinion, in a friendly. But my God, you have to show something. If you don't show it in these games, you don't have it for the tournament. Where should chemistry and everything come from?
Yeah, and like for example, I don't see for example, should have brought in Locatelli. Locatelli wouldn't have done jack shit that match.
Oh no,
absolutely nothing.
Yeah. What would he do? Passing to Dimarco, passing to Cambiaso and Di Lorenzo?
He would have made Bastoni play as a center mid instead of him and win there.
Can Bremer still legally change his nationality?
Nope, too late.
How many games did he play for Brazil? Like, is he already
5 or 6? I think 5 or 6. Yeah.
All right, then it's done.
Yeah, I mean, like for example, if you're expecting Nicola Fagioli to save Italy, that's not gonna happen.
As good as he is, but man, and already also like we said, it's not the problem. You drop in Fagioli, like okay, can be good, but what are you expecting if Italy's midfield is already good? But Dash, let me ask you a question. You have that beautiful midfield that the Italian national team has. You have a mid front line and not so good or a shaky defense.
I would say a terrible front line.
What is the best formation for that if you have a great midfield, shaky defense?
You have to play a 3-5-2. There's no way you can't play a 3-5-2
my thought. Exactly my thought. And that is the problem. And if you look at the Italian national team, it's a carbon copy of why we had to play a 3-5-2.
Yeah, because these defenders are terrible in isolated moments. Yeah,
it's the same. It's a carbon copy.
You like, for example, I'm looking at this defense and it's like you can't play this with a back 4 because there's too many holes, there's too many gaps. And then like just because you want Chiesa to play as a winger in this system, you're going to sacrifice everything. I think the only way that this works is you switch to a 3-5-2 and you put Scamacca up top and then you play someone that can play off him. Shit, I don't even think you need wingers on this roster. You just run a 3-5-2.
Dude, if you have Di Lorenzo or Cambiaso on the right. You get the best out of DiMarco. Just put some defenders there, man. Put Gatti on the right side. Play Bastoni. Play
could play Gatti,
Bongiorno if you
Bastoni,
want.
and them. Yeah.
And there you have your central defense. You have the wingbacks sorted. You have a great goalkeeper. Midfield is great. You only have the shaky front line. Like, just we have Allegri ball the whole tournament. Congratulations, you win every game 1-0. What does it do? You win the title.
No, but that's
That
not doing it
would
for
that,
hipsters.
that would have solved everything.
Yeah, that's what Conte would have done. If Conte took the job, that's what he literally would have done.
If somebody has Spalletti's number, send him this clip. Maybe you can help him out.
I would hope he knows. I would hope he does.
Signore Spalletti, please, if you are listening here at D&D Sports, we help you for free.
Because, like, think about it, right? Like, that game against Albania is going to be really telling. I mean, for me, I like it because that's Italy's first game in the Euro, and if they're weak, that is going to be a game you catch them.
I'm so excited, man.
Because for me, I was concerned for a while because Albania lost a little bit of form, but putting that 3 against Liechtenstein kind of restored it a little bit. Because I was just like, oh boy, they went 4 games without scoring, and I told myself watching that game with them in Liechtenstein, I'm like, I need to see them score. Like a 1-0 is not good enough for me. I need them to go more above and beyond on that one. So them doing it looks good. I mean, obviously I don't have high expectations for them, but hey, if they could knock off Italy, anything can happen. So I'd be really excited to see that. So we'll get another round of qualifying in by the end of Monday next week, and then the Euro essentially kicks off at that point.
And Germany plays tomorrow against Greece. Let's see if I have time watching that, and let's see what form Germany's in.
Yep. All right. So now the next topic of segment, we'll go into some of the transfer news. So lots of stuff has been bubbling right now. Derek Gregorio, we kind of teased it earlier, where Liverpool tried to make a move. He said no. He wanted to continue going to Juve. So you have an Interisti essentially turning Liverpool down to stay at Juve. Tech. So let's talk about Szczesny. So Szczesny apparently has a large offer from Al Hilal, some Saudi Arabian team, because they were trying to get Allison from Liverpool. I believe he's turned it down. I'm not too sure. I think they're still working on it. I don't know how I would trust these numbers, but they're saying that Tech would get 15 million a season, and then Juve would get 30 million for his transfer fee.
30. If you give me 10, I say goodbye. But 30, man.
I don't like. For example, that's why I was a little bit kind of. Again, I don't.
If you give us 30, I kiss you for it. I sent you a bouquet. Hey, man, you get even a massage.
Even though like Tech's been great for us, we'll take him to the airport and everything. That would be.
I will fly him personally and do catering for him at the airplane and everything, man.
Yeah, that to me is that's a huge reach. I don't know.
If that is true.
I really don't understand where those
lots of these Saudi offers, like it happened also with the Premier League last summer, with all the offers from for Mohamed Salah and for other various like very good but slowly aging players. Like the media reported lots of stuff when in the end it came out that it wasn't even true. Like lots of it is just to have the media attention. I don't know if this one with Tech is a case of that as well, or if it's true. If it's true, like I don't mind it. Like I would rather sell him than having him with that salary on the bench playing second fiddle.
Yeah, and that's why I'm a little bit skeptical on it, and I would like to see if it would happen per se, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Right? That to me seems a little bit odd. But hey, like if you're able to get a profit like that off of Tech, you do that
absolutely.
Instantly. Like I think it's more so convincing Tech more than
Yep.
than Juve thinking about the
Yep.
deal, because I think Juve want to move from him at some point. It's just they don't know how to do it without looking bad.
But not every player wants to go to Saudi Arabia, so
Exactly.
we don't know about that yet.
Yeah, it's all on what Tech wants to do, and then I believe there's like Premier League options. I think Tech would be more likely to go to the Prem than he would to go to Saudi, but that one, we'll update and we'll react if there's anything else that comes into it. The other thing is there's no movement on the Koop Meyers deal. I think the Koop Meyers deal is stalled for the moment because Atalanta, as expected, wants 60 mil. Juve don't want to pay more than 40. I think the interesting piece now is with Scalvini being injured. They've inquired about Dean Huijsen, and they want to bring in Dean Huijsen, and Juve are potentially looking at doing 30 or 40 plus Dean. But the other thing too is they're interested in Sam Jr., Illing Jr.
I don't know where that comes from.
That came out a couple minutes ago.
Especially when you have like Ademola, Lookman, and I don't know where that came from, man.
Yeah, that came out recently, not even that long per se, maybe like 30, 40 minutes
and
ago.
even then, the problem for me is Illing doesn't have the value to bring the 60 million down significantly.
No, it'd be like 10 or 15 times.
Like with Huijsen, you can do that because Huijsen is worth like 25 to 30, like around that. And if you get from 60 to around the 40 or 35 or in that range, then I think I would do the deal, I believe. But I don't know if it's worth giving up Huijsen for that, or you sell Huijsen separately and just spend the money elsewhere instead of doing that deal. I'm still not sure about that one, man. I somewhat agree with KB. I'm not too I like him, and I think he, of course, he would improve our midfield and the creativity and shot output and everything like immediately. But I don't know if he improves it like 50 to 60 million wise,
The only way that I think you would see that kind of improvement in the midfield is if you pair him with Douglas Luiz.
Yeah.
I think that's the only time you would see that truly essentially bear fruit, right? If you were to pair Koop Meyers with Douglas Luiz, I think that's where you really start cooking with ingredients there. But that one interests me as well. Like, for example, these two midfield deals are essentially player swaps plus cash. The thing I find very interesting is like these. Obviously, I'm not taking these for truth per se, but Monchi essentially offered Douglas Luiz to Juventus, which to me kind of throws me off because it's like he's a 70 million player that took you to the Champions League, that had a 10 and 10 season as a deep line, as a midfielder, central midfielder for Unai Emery, who Unai Emery plays more Allegri ball than Allegri. So you mean to tell me that you want to give him to us?
So
am I missing something here?
My 2 cents on it are that I don't know if anybody of you watch the overlap, the debate show with Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, where they get fans from every Premier League club there to ask questions and them asking the fans also questions. They had Aston Villa fans there already, and they had the whole season already discussions about Villa having problems with financial fair play and having to sell, and they have to sell big players. The problem is like players like Diaby, for example, who they got freshly, Leon Bailey, they got 2 seasons ago, for example. They got those players, paid a lot of them, and if they had sold them, they won't get a big profit. I don't remember exactly what they paid for Douglas Luiz, but I think it was.
Oh, they get a huge profit because they bought him from it was a Spanish team. I don't think it was Girona. It was like a lower.
Was it Valencia?
No. It was one of the lower Spanish teams. Like they got him while he was young. I'll pull that up momentarily, but.
And the thing is, they would get an incredible profit from him if they sell him. And now the other question which I also understand. Look, Aston Villa has become a perennial Champions League, like a top 4 club, like not cemented, but they are in that bubble to fight for the top 4 right now. Italy and Germany still top 5 in the Champions League. I'm
I was right. It was
shade again.
it was Girona.
Great. Oh, so ironically, the club that is owned by the Manchester City group. And it will be a huge profit on their books if they sell him, and then to sell him to Juventus instead of selling him to the competition for the Champions League would be a huge bonus for them. Like, what is the monetary difference? Like, if we do the deal straight up, it is 50 to 60, I believe.
Yeah, 60.
If we discount McKennie, I think
yes, straight cash. It's about 60 to 70.
Straight cash is 60. So if you sell him, like, what would the money be you want from Manchester City, from Arsenal, or from Liverpool, for example? 75, 80? Like, to make it worth to sell him to a direct competitor?
All right. So I got the financial numbers for him.
Yeah.
So he was purchased by Man City from Vasco da Gama for 12 million, and then he was loaned to Girona for 2 seasons, and then ended his loan. Went back to Man City in 2019. Man City sold him to Aston Villa for 16.8 million.
Crazy.
So if this McKennie / 20 or 30 or however, if this, let's just call it a 60 to 70 million operation. If this goes through, Aston Villa is essentially there to pocket 50 million in capital gains.
Yep, and it's separate deals. They will make it separate deals. It won't be a swap on paper. So they will get the 60 million cash basically, which will give them a 43 million plus. Like, let's take the easy route right now without like counting salary and everything. We just take the 43 million right now that they win on that deal. That's a huge profit, man. That's the numbers they need.
Yeah, because like, for example,
and that's why it makes absolutely sense.
Yeah, and when you look at it from that perspective, right? Because, like, for example, when I was reading it, and they're like, "Yeah, Monchi offered him to Juve," and then I was just kind of like, "What the hell?" Because, like, I'm not used to Juve getting a bone per se, because that's like one of the few times
I'm not as well. But the question is, there aren't like a lot of different clubs that need a defensive midfielder right now. There's 2 clubs, and I didn't hear a report about the other team. The other team is Bayern Munich. They need desperately a defensive midfielder, but I didn't hear like anything about them going for. So it is us basically.
And like, for example, some of the traits that like Douglas has very good at is being able to
you could argue PSG, but I think their midfield is also pretty solid.
Yeah, I think they're completely in a better position than us, and I think with us he'll get a guarantee to start most of his matches.
Yep.
But as far as like his touches, chance creation, and goals contributions have very high marks.
Yep.
Compared to other midfielders, and like, for example, this season, 10 goals, 10 assists as a deep lying midfielder in a very pragmatic system.
He's honestly
that is everything that Thiago Motta wants and more, per se. Because, like, for example, if I'm suspecting anything, I think we're probably going to see a variation of the 4-2-3-1 in a 4-3-3. So your double pivots, because Motta likes to play with 2 ball-playing pivots, and that's going to be Douglas Luiz, and that's going to be Fajoli, and then that's going to be Koopmeiners as the cam, or, for example, if Koopmeiners doesn't come, you'll probably have a double pivot of Fajoli Rabiot, and then Douglas Luiz will be your higher midfielder. So that's kind of what he's looking for. We don't know anything about Rabiot's renewal. That's still on the fence, but for me, in my opinion, like, for example, if you're able to utilize certain players, and like, for example, McKennie's not staying because they're not giving him that 500K raise. The fact that Villa is willing to take McKennie at the price, I think maybe they value him at like 20 million or something, 2025, and Juve want him to be valued at 30. That might be what the issue is with the deal, but I still think that's a steal. Because, like, for example,
I
McKennie was
think,
worth nothing last summer.
yeah. He wasn't worth nothing, man. My thing is, if the deal is truly on the table, then I don't think like 5 million here or there will be a problem. That's my thought on it. If the deal is truly on the table, they will make it work somehow. If it's 5 million more or less on Douglas Lewis, they will make it happen. Or if it's 5 million more or less on McKennie, also no problem. They will make it work somehow. And with that message by Costello, I agree. That's what I said earlier. They have huge financial fair play problems, but not only them. Like half the Premier League is haunted because they overestimated. No, that's the wrong word. They didn't overestimate their finances, but they underestimated how the Premier League is monitoring the numbers and actually going after the clubs, deducting points and everything.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, I think my main argument is I'm not used to Juve getting a break,
Yep,
especially after these past couple of years. For me, it's
I agree.
difficult to just get.
That's why I'm not yet buying.
Yeah, and that's why I'm
try to sell
skeptical.
us.
And that's really more so I'm skeptical until that deal gets done, because it's just
Yep,
it seems
I agree.
to me it seems way too good. Way too
Yep.
good. Like, same thing with, like, for example, Sule being valued at 45-50 million by
Yep.
Premier League teams, or even Leverkusen. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm skeptical until that deal gets across the
Yep.
line.
Do you know what's for me the most suspect part with it? Which of the journalists we have is the most centered around Premier League? Fabrizio.
Yeah, Mr. Here we go.
Not a single word about Douglas Luiz to Juventus.
Yeah, I'm very, very difficult
Like
to.
I'm not a fan of Fabrizio or whatever, but if he didn't mention it, I don't know. I don't know if the others are better connected or someone feeds them information or whatever. But if it happens, hands down, it's incredible, and I give Giuntoli his props.
Yeah, because the only thing that Romano has talked about is Dre Gregorio, Mota not being signing this week, but next week, and then
Calafiori
and
sometimes.
Calafiori. So those are like the only two that he's really like mentioned. But
Yeah.
Douglas Luiz in that is like, Nicola Shira, Di Marzo, Mirko Di Natale, like all those guys are talking about that one. So this was Nicola Shira that broke the Illing Jr. to Atalanta. That was his thoughts per se. But more than likely for me, again, the question is where was all this money in January? Right? Because, like, if you were to get Coop and Douglas, that's about 60 to 70 million. With the amount of liquid assets, especially factoring in Calafiori without doing a player swap. Same thing with Del Gregorio. It's about to be 100 million transfer window. I'm not against it, but again, it just kind of tells me that,
And by the way, on paper, your books will be still better because you lost huge contracts like Alexandro, and most likely Tech will go. Like, I think Di Gregorio comes to be the number one. He won't sit a whole season behind Tech, who can play with the ball with his feet to save his life. So I think Tech is most likely gone. And if we sell Chiesa, that decreases the whole wage bill, and you get also money from that one. So we will see, man.
Yeah, I think for me, I think the big thing I'm curious to see is, this Chiesa drama is going to go throughout the entire summer.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't see it ending now. Like, for example, Di Marzio saying that Chiesa's agent will be in Rome next week, so they're meeting maybe Roma for a move or something's going on there. To be honest, and this might be, not popular, but look, the faster he's gone, I think the more things open up or the more things clear up. I don't know. I just he's run his course. I don't see him bringing really any value at this point.
I agree.
It's just the way that he handles his business, the way that his dad has had to come out and say things, and it's just like for me, it's like if anything, this whole like my irritation with him began with the root of I'm not signing a contract until I know who's the next coach, what tactical lineup they do, am I the center of the project? And I think right now, maybe Gentili leaked this just like how he leaked the Allegri shenanigans, because maybe Chiesa went up to him and told him like, hey, I need to be the center. I need to be the guy. I am the guy.
Yep.
This is how this works. And Gentili's like, you're kind of shit. No, we're not doing this. So I think that's kind of what has started this.
Yeah.
Like, for example, for me, if I'm looking at this roster, if I'm trying to determine a main piece, I would say it's going to be Vlahovic over Chiesa. So like Chiesa's not even on top of the list when it comes to who's going to be the main rotational piece for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know, like that and this is what I find very ironic, where it's like all the I don't want to say bots, but all the NPC fans are just like sitting there like, oh man, new coach is gonna save Chiesa and is gonna save Locatelli, and then it's just like their coach doesn't even like Mota. Yeah, Mota thinks he can redeploy, and you know what that means when they say redeploy? That means you're not good, and they have to try to find a way to make it work. So like redeploy Locatelli, and then there wasn't even a redeploy for Chiesa. It's just the report was, yeah, he's not that good, and I don't care if he gets sold or not.
Yep. And by the way, if we sell Chiesa, which I think we will in the end, because of everything we mentioned all the time, the 1 year left on the contract, not fitting with Motta's style, with inverting into the box and everything. So there are lots of reasons to cash in on Chiesa. The problem is that opens up a whole rat's nest. You need a new left winger or a backup to Yildiz, or a consistent left winger. I don't know. You need a left winger like 100%, because sorry, but it's not Illing.
Yeah.
So you need 100% a left winger.
Well, there's
on the right side, I don't know if you want to go into the season with Sule and Weah, because Weah will most likely be the backup right now. So we need a whole set of new wingers as well.
Well, and I think the other thing too is I think that they're actually looking at wingers as well. I think, for example, they're looking at, because like for example, Mota did it well with just and I'm not saying that they suck, but with mediocre with Castigliejo and Orsolini, right? So it's just, or not that Salamakers. So like
Alexis, the salad
shoemaker, as people would say. But like they did it with that, right? And they were able to be somewhat successful with it. So for me, it's just like I don't think that Mota values wingers as high as people think that he does.
Yeah.
Because like, for example, his main bread and butter is his midfield, the middle seven of the field.
Yeah.
Which I think if he gets, for example, if Douglas Luiz moves, if Koopmeyers moves, you have Vlahovic, Koopmeyers, Douglas Luiz, Fagioli, and then your center back of Bremer, air quotes, maybe Calafiori and De Gregorio. That's like the bulk of the formation.
Yep.
And then your fullback position is going to be Cambiaso and then potentially Di Lorenzo, hypothetically speaking. I don't think it matters what you put up top as a winger.
I think it matters somewhat. Like if you're Bologna and the opponents like didn't game plan as hard for you, or you had time to get away with not being game plan for properly, half a season basically, you can get through the season with average wingers. The problem is when you're at Juventus, at this club where you are at least trying to fight for titles, and now with the money it looks we will spend, with the coach we will have, we are certainly obligated to fight for titles immediately, even if we don't win it, but we're obliged to fight for it, in my opinion.
I would assume so. If you had that window, you would have to.
And that means for me that we also have to perfect the winger position and not play the average winger card that Bologna basically played.
Yeah, I I'm curious to see what they do in the winger market, especially if they do sell Chiesa. But it's going to be very, very interesting. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait and see how certain things play out, because I think more so right now, folks are just really, or the Juve board are more so focused on filling out the midfield holes, because you could have average wingers if you have, and it's the same thing with your defense. You can have an average defense and an average
Yep.
front line, but if you have
Yep.
a very electric midfield, it overcompensates for it.
Yep.
Like it carries it for sure. So having that, I think, is going to be detrimental to what they do and how they do it. So there was a couple of wingers that were listed on the short list that I didn't see entirely, and I don't know anything about them. But
Shegrova, from Kosovo, I believe. He was. Who was it, Lil? Man, I confused the French teams. I'm sorry to
I
the
think it was Lil.
fresh fans, to the French fans here, if we have some, but I'm confusing them all the time. But yeah, Shegrova, but he was also on the radar of a couple of Bundesliga teams. But if Juventus comes calling, I think he will certainly come to Juventus instead of, I don't know, Eintracht Frankfurt, for example, who are also good,
Yeah.
but
No,
it's still
absolutely.
Juventus in that case. And the Greenwood rumors didn't dry up, and there's your right wingers basically. And on the left, I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors with the left winger for now.
Yeah.
But Bakayoko was today in the papers, which I also don't believe, because like half the Premier League wants him, and I think the Premier League back will get him out of Eindhoven most likely as well. So I don't know where. Like I don't believe in the Bakayoko rumor, and he's a right winger as well. So still no left winger. The reports. If I don't know if I overheard something, but I don't think there was anything connected to the left wing for now.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything too solid or anything too crazy out there. Ironically, Chiesa is currently trending on X, but I haven't seen anything there. So I really do think that they're going to adjust the way that they're going for the wingers more so after once the midfield's been solidified. I have a doubt that they do anything for the midfield the wingers prior to the to that midfield being essentially organized there. And I think they're also going to probably wait after. I think that gets done right after, I would say, maybe early August.
Yep.
I would have just huge doubt if they don't.
The problem is that, like we detailed last week, I think we have to sell Chiesa early. The best case during the Euros, but contracts doesn't get made there. But at least to try to work on a deal during the Euros, and when he comes back to have the sale done and dusted, because that gives you time to work on the rest of the team. So I don't know. The sacrifices have to come from somewhere, man. And they have also to come early, because if you don't have the time, you can't work on all these deals properly. And if we don't have time, that leaves us with a Charlie Alcaraz situation again.
Yeah, and I think the person that's really moving the Douglas Luiz is Dario Pellegrini. That's so I looked up to see who was the guy that's really pouring fire onto this.
Never heard of him in my life.
Tom Colomose as well, who is a sports journalist, mainly covering Midlands football. He's a British guy.
Oh.
He's saying Villa are open to selling Luis. Juventus prepared to offer 25-30 plus Weston McKennie. So that is
so that's 55 million basically, and they will pay us the 30 or 25 around that for McKennie.
Yeah, and then the other thing too. So Mr. Dionisi has now become Palermo's new coach. So the guy that took Sassuolo into Serie B is now going to Palermo.
Didn't Palermo get promoted?
I don't think they're in Serie A this year.
Oh, so he went from a Serie B team to a Serie B
Serie
team.
B team.
Got you. Yeah. It was Venezia that went up. It was one of those teams with the hipster jerseys that everybody likes.
Yeah. It's Parma, Como, and Venezia that are going up.
Yeah, got you.
So yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to see a City Group in Serie A just yet. But I think we've covered everything. I don't think there's anything that we've missed. Besides, maybe I'll touch on this since we'll do it as we're signing off here, because Mr. Sal is in the chat. All right, so looking at money-wise, so Juve financially are at a 200 million loss this year because that's factoring in non-qualifying for Europe, which I believe the capital gains essentially covers or accounts for it. And again, Sal's in the chat, so he could chime in if I am completely out of this year. But essentially, next year, with all of the Champions League and European competitions and all the fancy jazz, I don't believe that we're going to record as much of a loss as we are this year. So I think they forecasted that it was going to be 200 million this season. So they injected, I believe it was roughly about 200 million, right, that they put into the club.
Yep. 200 million, I believe. 40 or 60 were towards the playing sides to recuperate losses there, and the other ones were to recuperate like COVID losses, loss in ticket sales, and everything to get those numbers straight again.
Yeah, the additional debts are Max Allegri and Ronaldo that were in that 200 million. So yeah, I do think a Sicilian team should be in Serie A. I think it'd only be fair, but hey man, Palermo got to get their shit together and go all the way through. ROFLML is like, hey man, I got 2 Venezia jerseys. KB said that. KB said I thought we're going into a 18 team format. No, the only teams that voted yes were Juve, Milan, and Inter, and everyone else voted no. And then, yeah, I believe not this upcoming season, but the following season, 25-26, is, pending good results. I believe Juve should finally be out of losing money and actually making some money, which is a first. But, I think it could change, right? If they sell a bunch of players, younger players for high value, and they don't invest all of it and they keep it a surplus, you could potentially see it this year.
Yep.
But I think, again, the question is, like, I would sell anybody besides Yildiz at this point. Anybody, maybe Bremer too. I would add Bremer on there as well.
And Cambiaso, I throw in as well.
But, like, for example, if offers are coming in for Dean for 25-30, I think that's insane not to do it. He has little to no field equity as far as like consistent minutes, and someone is willing to pay 30 million for him. You take that deal.
Yep.
You absolutely take that deal. Because that is going to fund you to essentially be a contender. Illing is more easier to sell, more so because like it's easier to digest per se, because I don't see him popping off and doing anything crazy. I can understand the reluctance to sell Huijsen, but again, you move him. That's a very solid move for 30 million, especially if you're able to utilize him to bring in Koopmeiners, if that's what gets the deal across the line. Or hell, even if you were to negotiate something with Illing and Dean to Atalanta for Coop, you do it. You do it because, for example, if you were to get 50 million for Sam and Dean going to Atalanta, and then the only negative balance would be 10 million to get Koopmeiners, you do it. You do it.
Hold on. Let me show you something. Do you know what the Venezia jersey always reminds me of? Are any One Piece fans in here?
Yeah, me.
Do you know the skirting all the time from the Wano Kuni arc? That's the Venezia colors.
That's actually fun.
That I always think of that when I see Venezia jerseys on Instagram, when I see them play at everything. That's what I think of all the time.
I'm not gonna lie, them and Como have some of my favorite stadiums to watch.
Oh yeah.
Like them and Como, like their stadiums are just breathtakingly awesome.
Yep.
So like yeah, if you want to do like a promotion for Italy vacations, you look at Como, especially their football stadium.
Man, a friend of mine is in Firenze right now, and man, I want to go as well, man.
Like that's gonna be a treat. I mean, that's just awesome. Like their stadium is awesome. It's like right on the bay too.
Yep.
So it's just like you've got like a backdrop of mountains.
Yep.
You're essentially at it. Like it's like a again it's almost like I don't want to say it to be mean, but it's like Serie D, Serie C,
Yep.
like as far as like infrastructure of it. But like it's just it's nice because it's nice and small and it's like literally right there on the bay.
Yep.
And then I
And
think
and also, I finally booked my vacation. I'm flying to Spain at the end of August and beginning of September. I'm flying to Alicante. If someone wants me to check out some football games, they go to stadiums. I am open to that, and will cover games from you from Spain as well.
nice. Yeah, and then Venezia on the water, but I think Venezia is doing a new stadium project to get a 25,000 seat stadium. I don't know where it's being built. I know it's being planned, but I don't
on
know.
the water.
It's on the water itself. They're building a barge. It's going to be a full-blown barge.
You know those floating basketball courts.
Yeah.
that's
It's like New York, Pier 9, where they have all the
Yeah.
the soccer fields in the or the footy fields on the actual pier itself. But alas, before we start waffling too long here, we've hit it. I think we've hit everything. I don't think we've missed anything. Not anything too crazy. But again, guys, make sure you do like, subscribe if you're new. Join the Discord as well if you want to continue discussions with us and the other folks in the community in the Discord. If you want to drop some news tidbits, hear your thoughts, or have long-winded discussions on Discord about certain players in, certain players out, you can join there. I will slap the QR code that you guys can take a look at that as it covers me up. So do remember to do that. And just some housekeeping, there will not be a Saturday night call-in show as conflicting schedules for us. But we will be on Sunday, where we will discuss the Canadian Grand Prix. So we'll switch hats and go on to Formula One on the weekend. So we'll cover some Canadian Grand Prix, maybe because Dave is still in Halifax. They might have a Ferrari win this weekend again.
We'll see.
Maybe, hopefully. But we'll cover that and we'll move on. Obviously, if there's any news that's critical or breaking, we'll hop on and we'll have a conversation of it. But more than likely, I think we're in slow sailing. We're in the lull before the Euros, and usually nothing.
But man, when the Euros finally start, we will go off everybody. It will be fun.
Yes, we'll have some shows that will cover certain matches, certain things, and hopefully we can kick off and beat Italy. That's just me, fingers crossed. But anyways,
I hope we beat everybody. Like, don't give a shit about Italy nor Albania.
You guys have like one of the highest chances besides England to win, though. I can't believe England had the highest thing, the highest odds for winning it. What
on talent they have, but they have Southgate, who's a huge damn anchor holding the boat down.
There we go. I'm telling you, Germany, France final. There, you heard it from me. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. We shall see you live next week.